Orbiting just beyond the shimmering edge of the Siren's Veil, the research vessel Ardent Echo drifted in a sea of stardust and charged particles. The nebula, a colossal, roiling tapestry of electric blues and deep purples, whispered ancient secrets to those who dared to listen. Here, on the periphery of known space, time seemed both suspended and endlessly shifting, as if the very fabric of the cosmos was holding its breath. Dr. Sienna Kale, the vessel's leading astrophysicist, stood before a panoramic viewport. Her eyes, reflecting the kaleidoscopic splendor of the nebula, were wide with awe. "It's as if the universe is sending us a message," she murmured, her voice a blend of wonder and trepidation. The data streams on her tablet had been inconclusive, a series of irregular pulses, like the rhythmic beats of a long-forgotten drum, echoing across the void. In the dim glow of the bridge, crew members exchanged uneasy glances. Whispers of an ancient legend of a warship lost in the mist of time had circulated among the ranks, carried on the hushed tones of veteran spacefarers. The Invictus, they said, had vanished during the Great Cosmic War, leaving only myth and scattered memories in its wake. And now, those myths were stirring, born on the solar winds of destiny. As the Ardent Echo edged closer to the nebula's luminous border, an anomaly flickered on the main console, a barely perceptible ripple, as if space itself had shuddered. The ripple grew, morphing into a faint outline that defied the conventional boundaries of any known vessel. A collective gasp swept through the bridge. It was unmistakable. Something colossal and long dormant was awakening from its slumber. Outside, the Siren's Veil roiled with spectral luminescence, its currents casting eerie shadows across the ship's hull. The nebula's chaotic beauty was both a promise and a warning, a reminder that the cosmos held mysteries far beyond the reach of human understanding. For the crew of the Ardent Echo, the moment was a juncture of fate, where myth and reality converged in the silent, infinite expanse. Dr. Kale's fingers trembled over the control panel as she recorded the anomaly. "We're witnessing history in motion," she said, her voice a whisper in the vast silence of space. Every sensor aboard the vessel hummed with a newfound urgency, as if eager to unveil the long-hidden past of the universe. In that charged moment, as the nebula pulsed like a heartbeat and the unknown beckoned, the legend of the Invictus was reborn. The whispers of the nebula had spoken, and the journey toward uncovering the truth had begun. Beyond the swirling mist of the Siren's Veil, a spectral silhouette emerged, a relic of battles past slowly materializing from the depths of space. The vast darkness was torn apart by the gleam of distant stars, and against this cosmic backdrop, the ancient hull of the warship Invictus came into focus. It loomed large and silent, its once proud contours now scarred by time and conflict, yet exuding a mysterious magnetism that captivated all who beheld it. Captain Orion Miles stood at the helm of the Invictus, his gaze fixed upon the awakening behemoth before him. The bridge was bathed in the ghostly luminescence of reactivated displays, their soft blue glow revealing intricate details of battle damage, evidence of a long-ago war that had reshaped entire galaxies. Orion's expression was one of resolute determination, tempered by the weight of history that seemed to seep from every rivet and panel of the ship. "Status report," Orion commanded, his voice firm and measured despite the awe permeating the air. His seasoned officers scrambled over the consoles, their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces as data cascaded in streams of light. The readings were as astonishing as they were unsettling. Decades-old power surges, a reanimated reactor core, and navigational logs that hinted at maneuvers performed during the Great Cosmic War. The Invictus had not just reappeared, it had revived, as if compelled by an unseen force to resume its forgotten mission. In a secluded corner of the bridge, the ship's AI flickered to life, its synthesized tone resonating through the silence. "Captain, reactivation protocols complete. Historical archives indicate this vessel was decommissioned following extensive damage in the Battle of Andromeda's Edge," it intoned. Orion's eyes narrowed slightly as he absorbed the information. Every detail affirmed what legends had whispered for generations. The Invictus was a living monument to humanity's turbulent past, now reborn to challenge the boundaries of fate. As Orion paced the bridge, memories of old war tales and whispered valor filled his mind. He recalled the storied heroics of his ancestors and the sacrifices that had defined the era of interstellar conflict. The ship, though aged and marred by the scars of time, now pulsed with an almost tangible spirit, a silent rallying cry from the annals of history. It was more than a vessel, it was a custodian of lost dreams, igniting a spark of hope and defiance in the hearts of those who believed in the unyielding march of destiny. Outside, the remnants of the nebula framed the Invictus in an otherworldly light, as if the cosmos itself had conspired to herald its return. The stark contrast of ancient steel against the backdrop of celestial majesty underscored a profound truth. History, no matter how deeply buried, had a way of resurfacing when destiny called. With every sensor reading and every whispered echo of the past, Captain Orion Miles felt the gravity of responsibility and the promise of redemption settling upon his shoulders. In that pivotal moment, as the Invictus stirred back to life amid the silent, eternal ballet of stars, the journey to reclaim its legacy had truly begun. The old warship, awakened from a long slumber, now beckoned Orion and his crew to step into a future steeped in the echoes of a bygone era, yet brimming with the uncharted promise of what lay ahead. The corridors of the Invictus lay in a dim, haunting twilight, a relic of a bygone era, its walls scarred with the memories of countless battles. Captain Orion Miles led a small team through narrow passageways where the hum of ancient machinery whispered secrets of valor and sacrifice. Each step resonated like a heartbeat in the silence, stirring ghostly echoes that had lain dormant for centuries. In a secluded chamber behind layers of reinforced steel, Orion discovered a forgotten archive room. Dust motes danced in the beams of his torchlight as he scanned rows of deactivated consoles and crumbling data cores. With careful determination, he activated one of the ancient terminals, its screen flickering to life as streams of encrypted logs and holographic images cascaded across the display. The holograms revealed glimpses of the past, battles fought among the stars, courageous sacrifices made in the name of a now-lost cause, and a lineage of heroes who had once commanded the Invictus. Orion's fingers traced the faded insignias and dates etched onto digital relics, each one a silent testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. As memories of war and glory unfolded before him, he felt the weight of history settle over his soul, a burden of expectation and a call to honor those who had given everything. The room seemed to breathe as ancient voices murmured from the data logs. In fragmented transmissions, long-deceased officers recounted the harrowing nights of the Great Cosmic War and the desperate strategies that had shaped the fate of countless worlds. Their voices, filled with both triumph and regret, merged into a symphony of remembrance. Orion paused, absorbing the narratives that challenged his understanding of duty and legacy. It was as if the very essence of the Invictus was speaking directly to him, urging him to uncover every hidden truth. A particular log caught his attention, a final transmission from the ship's last commanding officer. The message, recorded in trembling, impassioned tones, recounted a desperate stand against overwhelming odds and a promise to safeguard a secret, a key to a future that had yet to be realized. Orion's heart pounded as he replayed the message, each word a beacon of hope and a call to embrace the path laid before him. The revelation stoked an inner fire. Here was not just a vessel, but a living archive of human resilience and the undying desire for peace amidst chaos. As the chamber's holographic glow faded into the encroaching darkness, Orion realized that the Invictus was more than a warship. It was a custodian of memories, a bridge between eras. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the spectral vestiges of heroes past, he vowed to honor the legacy entrusted to him. The past, with all its scars and triumphs, would guide his every decision as he embarked on the perilous journey to restore hope in a universe too often marred by conflict. The echoes of the past had spoken, and their voices would be his compass. Across the vast tapestry of space, where starlight bled into the shadows of distant nebulae, the Zernex capital loomed like a crystalline citadel. Here, in the heart of a planet sculpted from living stone and glimmering mineral, the ancient traditions of the Zernex people were etched into every facet of their existence. The Great War Room, a cavernous hall of reflective obsidian and luminescent crystal, served as both a sanctuary and a command center, resonating with the weight of history and the cold precision of duty. At the center of this imposing chamber, Admiral Zool stood with an air of austere authority. His scaled skin, a mosaic of iridescent hues, shimmered under the light of bioluminescent orbs suspended from the vaulted ceiling. Zool's eyes, sharp and unyielding, scanned the gathered officers, their expressions a mix of reverence and anxiety. In that moment, every Zernex present felt the palpable tension of an impending storm, one that could shatter the delicate balance of their storied civilization. "Report," Zool intoned, his voice resonating with the measured cadence of command. The assembled council, adorned in ceremonial armor etched with ancestral symbols, presented their findings with precision. Data streams, holographic projections, and ancient records converged before the Admiral's discerning gaze. They spoke of an anomaly, a ghost from the human past reawakened in the void, that threatened to upset the rigid order of the Zernex way. Amid the murmurs of concern, a young envoy stepped forward, his tone laced with urgency. "Admiral, sensors confirm a massive vessel approaching our border." Its identity remains uncertain, but its signature bears the unmistakable imprint of ancient human technology. The envoy's words, though delivered with deference, ignited a spark of alarm in the eyes of the council. For centuries, the Zernex had maintained a vigilant watch over their domain, ever wary of any force that might disturb the sanctity of their culture. Zul's gaze hardened as he absorbed the report. His rigid code, forged in the crucible of millennia-old conflicts and hardened by an unwavering commitment to preserving Zernex tradition, left no room for compromise. "Dispatch the reconnaissance fleet immediately," he commanded, his tone leaving no doubt of his resolve. "Let none approach unchallenged." His words, both an order and a declaration of intent, reverberated through the hall, sealing the fate of the unfolding confrontation. Yet beneath the veneer of controlled authority, a quiet undercurrent of discord stirred among the Zernex officers. Traditionalists, bound by the ancient prophecies and the weight of their forebears' wisdom, murmured cautious dissent. They questioned whether the human relic was a harbinger of destruction or an opportunity to harness long-forgotten alliances. But Admiral Zul, ever the sentinel of order, dismissed such uncertainties with a measured flick of his scaled hand. "Our duty is clear," he proclaimed, "to safeguard the legacy of our people against any threat, even one born from the errors of our past." Outside the crystalline walls, the capital pulsed with the rhythms of an ancient civilization, its spires reflecting the cold brilliance of distant stars. The Zernex, with their unyielding traditions and formidable resolve, braced themselves for the coming storm, a battle that would test not only their martial prowess but the very principles that had guided them through the ages. In that charged moment, as the war room's crystalline surfaces captured and refracted the dim light of approaching fleets, Admiral Zul steeled himself for the inevitable encounter. The vigilant heart of the Zernex pulsed with a mixture of dread and determination, a beacon of ancient strength poised to meet the challenge of a reawakened human legacy head-on. A hush fell over the bridge of the Invictus as the ship slipped through the outer fringe of a star cluster's gravitational eddies. Nebulous tendrils of ionized gas spiraled past the viewport, painting the darkness in ethereal hues of cobalt and silver. Every sensor aboard hummed with restless energy, each readout a pulse in the vast heartbeat of space itself. Captain Orion Miles stood at the comm console, fingers resting lightly on its cool surface as though coaxing a long-dormant giant from slumber. Across the void, zircon-white tracings on the tactical display indicated the approach of an unfamiliar formation, sleek arrowheads of Zernex warships slicing through hyperspace. He could feel the tension in his chest tighten like the grip of a vice. "Open subspace channel," Orion ordered. His voice was steady, but beneath its calm exterior, adrenaline crackled. Static blossomed into a shimmering glyph before coalescing into the angular visage of Admiral Zul. The Zernex commander's scaled features were etched in stern resolve, eyes glowing like molten crystal. The bridge lights dimmed as crew members strained to witness history's first exchange between two civilizations on the brink. "Human vessel Invictus," Zul intoned, each syllable measured. "You trespass in Zernex territory. Identify your purpose or be deemed hostile." Orion's pulse thrummed with the weight of choice. He raised his chin, gaze unwavering. "This is Captain Orion Miles of the United Earth Coalition. We come in peace, seeking dialogue. Our emergence was not by design. It is a resurrection of history, not an act of aggression." A low murmur rippled through the crew. The star cluster outside swirled, a cosmic dance of creation and destruction reflecting the tension aboard. Zul's scales rippled with a hiss of contempt. "History is a chain of errors best buried. Your return disturbs the balance we've guarded for millennia. Stand down or face eradication." Orion inhaled slowly, his voice softening with conviction. "We do not seek conflict. Humanity survives by adaptation, learning from the past rather than burying it. The Invictus carries more than weapons, it carries truth." For a heartbeat, silence stretched between them like an abyss. The Invictus trembled as its engines compensated for a microfluctuation in the star cluster's gravity well, as if the ship itself braced for what was to come. Zul's gaze narrowed. Truth is subjective. Intent means nothing in the face of threat. Prepare for engagement. The hologram fractured into static. The channel closed. Orion's jaw tightened. He glanced at his crew, fear, determination, and something akin to hope flickered in their eyes. He keyed the intercom. "Battle stations. Shield matrices to full. Weapons on standby, only fire if fired upon." As the Invictus drifted deeper into the heart of the star cluster, Orion pressed a hand against the viewport, feeling the pull of ancient stars tug at his soul. The void had been crossed. There was no turning back. In the silence that followed, the fate of two civilizations hung in balance, poised between obliteration and the fragile spark of understanding. Deep within the labyrinthine innards of the Invictus, where long-abandoned corridors whispered secrets of battle and loss, Captain Orion Miles led a small, determined crew into the ship's forgotten engineering sanctum. The passageways were shrouded in the dim glow of emergency luminance, revealing rusted control panels and walls pockmarked by the scars of a violent past. Shadows danced as if they held memories of clashing armies and desperate last stands. The air was thick with dust and the static murmur of ancient machinery. Each step Orion took echoed off the cold metal, carrying with it the weight of history and the promise of revelation. His hand hovered over a door emblazoned with the faded insignia of a bygone era, a silent marker of the Invictus' former glory. With a determined nod, he activated the seal, and the heavy door groaned open to reveal a chamber steeped in mystery. Inside, the room was dominated by a colossal data core, its surface etched with cryptic symbols and arcane circuitry that defied modern logic. The core pulsed faintly, as if it still held the lifeblood of its creators. Orion's seasoned eyes caught every detail, recognizing that this relic was more than a mere repository of forgotten logs. It was the ship's hidden heart. His crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager young engineers, formed a tight circle around him, their faces illuminated by the soft luminescence of scattered monitors. As Orion connected his portable interface to the core, a cascade of holographic data exploded into life. Blueprints of stellar battles, encrypted logs of strategic maneuvers, and the recorded voices of fallen heroes filled the chamber with a spectral narrative of triumph and tragedy. Among the deluge of information, one file glowed with a persistent, urgent rhythm, a final, unsent message from the ship's last commanding officer. Orion's pulse quickened as he initiated the decryption protocol. The message unfurled slowly, revealing that the Invictus had not been designed merely for warfare. Instead, it had harbored a secret mission, a peacekeeping initiative intended to serve as a sanctuary during times of cosmic upheaval. The ship's hidden databank held the key to a long-lost vision, one that sought to bridge warring worlds and heal ancient scars. As the truth seeped into his consciousness, Orion felt a shiver of both dread and hope. The revelation challenged every preconceived notion of the ship's purpose. It was a beacon meant to unite rather than destroy. In that silent, hallowed hall, debate stirred among the crew. Some argued that the newfound purpose of the Invictus could redefine humanity's approach to interstellar conflict, while others feared that the ancient secrets might incite further chaos. The tension was palpable, as though the very air was charged with conflicting energies, one whispering of reconciliation, the other of inevitable strife. Lost in thought, Orion lingered by the pulsating data core, his eyes reflecting the flickering holograms like distant stars. He realized that the shadows in the hull were not merely vestiges of decay, but rather living memories, urging him to carry forward a legacy that transcended violence. The Invictus was more than an instrument of war. It was a custodian of hope, a silent testament to the possibility of transformation even in the aftermath of devastation. With renewed determination, Captain Orion Miles addressed his gathered crew, his voice resonating with conviction. This ship was built on the ideals of peace as much as of defense. The shadows that haunt these corridors are not ghosts. They are the echoes of a promise we must now honor. We have the opportunity to redefine our legacy. Let us uncover every secret hidden within these walls and use that knowledge to forge a future that unites, not divides. In that moment, the chamber became a crucible of purpose. The Invictus pulsed in rhythm with its newfound destiny, its ancient heart beating in time with the hopes of its crew. The shadows in the hull had yielded their secret, casting light upon a path that was as uncertain as it was promising, a path that would ultimately determine the fate of both humanity and its cosmic adversaries. The starry void erupted into chaos as the two fleets converged near the turbulent, iridescent edges of the Siren's Veil. The ancient nebula roiled with explosive energy, its swirling gases reflecting the dazzling flares of weapons fire. Amid the celestial tumult, the Invictus, resurrected and resolute, prepared for the inevitable clash against the disciplined might of the Zernex Armada. Captain Orion Miles stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the shifting tactical holograms. His crew moved with a precision born of countless drills and shared purpose, each console lighting up with streams of real-time data as the enemy fleet advanced. The star cluster around them became a theater of war, brilliant bursts of energy, trailing exhaust plumes, and the silent, deadly ballet of interstellar combat. On the opposing side, Admiral Zul's flagship cut through the void with ruthless elegance. Its sleek, angular design was a stark contrast to the battered grandeur of the Invictus. Zul himself appeared on a massive holoscreen inside his command chamber, his visage a study in unwavering determination. His voice, cold and resolute, reverberated through the comm link. "You have crossed into our domain, human. Withdraw now, or we will eradicate your intrusion." For a fleeting moment, the silence of the void was punctured by the roar of activated energy shields and the piercing whine of repulsor cannons. The Invictus surged forward, dodging lethal beams that seared through the dark as if tearing reality itself. Orion's voice cut through the clamor. "Hold your fire until we have a chance to parley. If not, you leave us no choice." The space between the two armadas narrowed, and as if drawn together by destiny, the opposing vessels clashed. In the heart of the melee, smaller fighter crafts weaved dangerously between plasma arcs and shattered fragments of enemy hulls. The Invictus deflector shields flared as it absorbed hit after hit, each impact resonating like a drumbeat in the vast emptiness. Amid the chaos, a daring boarding maneuver was executed. Orion, with a handful of his most trusted officers, initiated a covert shuttle launch designed to infiltrate Admiral Zul's flagship. The shuttle slipped silently through the gaps in the battlefield, its trajectory cloaked by the nebula's chaotic energy. As the shuttle docked, tension mounted to a breaking point, a promise of confrontation that had been building since first contact. In a stark, metallic corridor inside the Zernex vessel, Captain Orion and Admiral Zul finally met face to face. The environment was surreal, harsh, angular architecture illuminated by the pale glow of emergency lights and the distant rumble of ongoing battle. Zul's presence was imposing, his scaled armor and piercing eyes reflecting centuries of martial tradition. He spoke first, his tone icy. "Your presence here defies all reason. You are relics of a past best left forgotten." Orion's reply was measured, yet imbued with the fervor of his convictions. "We are not relics, Admiral. We carry the weight of history, yes, but also the hope for a future free from endless war. The Invictus is a vessel of truth, not destruction." Their voices clashed in the confined space, a verbal duel as sharp and charged as the plasma storms raging outside. The confrontation escalated as the sounds of battle seeped through the walls, a reminder that beyond this corridor, countless lives hung in the balance. Each man, bound by duty and honor, understood that the outcome of this meeting could steer the course of interstellar history. The duel was not merely one of words, but a collision of ideologies, the rigidity of ancient tradition versus the transformative power of reconciliation. As the standoff reached its zenith, alarms blared and structural vibrations rattled the corridor. Both fleets, locked in mortal combat at the edge of the Siren's Veil, danced perilously close to mutual annihilation. The confrontation between Orion and Zul, set against the backdrop of a universe ablaze with conflict, stood as the final arbiter of their people's futures. In that charged moment, the fate of the Invictus, the human legacy, and the Zernex order teetered on a knife's edge, a decisive juncture where the choice between destruction and unity would soon be made. As the last echoes of battle faded into the vast expanse of the Siren's Veil, a tentative calm settled over the fractured battlefield. Amid the wreckage of shattered hulls and spent energy shields, the battered remnants of both fleets drifted in a silent truce, each side nursing its wounds, each leader contemplating the heavy cost of conflict. The Invictus floated, its once proud form now bearing fresh scars alongside the remnants of its storied past. Inside, Captain Orion Miles gathered his officers in the war room, the atmosphere charged not with the adrenaline of combat but with the quiet intensity of reflection and resolve. The holographic map of the star cluster pulsed softly, its colors muted, a visual reminder that even the brightest flames can dim to embers in the aftermath of violence. Outside, in the command chamber of Admiral Zul's flagship, the Zernex leader watched his fleet's battered formation with a mix of stoic duty and quiet introspection. The stark rigidity of his ordered world had been shaken by the unforeseen presence of the Invictus and its secret, a revelation that hinted at possibilities beyond the endless cycle of war. A low-frequency signal emerged across both networks, carrying a message that defied the clamor of battle. It was a proposal, forged from desperation and a mutual recognition of shared loss. Through cautious channels, a truce was declared, a pause to re-examine the ancient enmity that had defined both peoples for millennia. In a neutral corridor aboard a decommissioned space station, designated as the meeting ground, Captain Orion and Admiral Zul finally sat face to face. The environment was austere yet imbued with an air of solemn purpose. Remnants of past alliances and treaties hung on the walls, silent witnesses to the fragility of peace. The conversation began with the tentative tones of reluctant envoys, each word measured against the backdrop of ancient mistrust and newfound vulnerability. Orion's voice, warm yet resolute, broke the silence. We have both suffered greatly. Our histories are marred by conflict, but they also carry the promise of renewal. The Invictus is not a harbinger of war. It is a beacon of what might be, if we dare to change our course. His words, laden with both sorrow and hope, resonated in the quiet room, transcending the rigid boundaries of language and species. Zul, his scaled features softened by an uncharacteristic moment of introspection, replied, "Honor has bound us to our ways for eons. Yet, in the ruin of battle, I see a path, a slender bridge between our ancient traditions and the future we both deserve. It is a path fraught with peril, but perhaps it is the only course left." His tone carried the weight of centuries, the unyielding gravity of a people bound by legacy, yet open, if only slightly, to transformation. In the following hours, painstaking negotiations unfolded. Both sides exchanged insights, fears, and aspirations. Data from the Invictus' hidden archives was shared, revealing the ship's original mission as a peacekeeping ark, a symbol of unity rather than a weapon of war. This revelation shifted the conversation, dissolving entrenched animosities and laying the groundwork for trust. As dawn broke over the Siren's Veil, its light piercing through the dissipating nebular mists, a formal accord was signed, a document etched in both human ink and Zernek script. The agreement heralded the cessation of hostilities, the establishment of an interstellar council, and a commitment to explore the possibility of shared progress. It was a fragile accord, yet it carried the promise of a new era where differences might be reconciled, and old wounds could begin to heal. On the bridge of the Invictus, Captain Orion watched the emerging light with a profound sense of hope. The scars of battle were a testament to the cost of enmity, but they were also a reminder that change was born from pain and tempered by courage. His gaze shifted to a familiar, weathered photograph of the ship's original crew, a legacy of bravery that now inspired him to lead with vision and compassion. In the command chamber of the Zernek's flagship, Admiral Zul regarded the accord with a measured resolve. The old ways, though steeped in honor, had faltered in the face of a changing universe. Today marked the beginning of an era where legacy and progress could coexist, a dawn of accord that promised to reshape not only their own destinies but the future of countless worlds. As both fleets began the arduous process of recovery and reconstruction, the Siren's Veil shimmered quietly, a celestial witness to the union of past and future, the merging of two once-opposed forces. In that luminous moment, the cosmos itself seemed to exhale a sigh of relief, as if acknowledging that the path to peace was finally being charted among the stars. The journey of the Invictus had reached its transformative climax, a journey from the depths of forgotten war to the fragile promise of unity. And as the new day broke, a shared resolve took root, to honor the past, to embrace the future, and to build a legacy of reconciliation across the endless tapestry of space.